Hi guys, welcome to the channel. It's a pretty nice day today. Look at the sky. I gotta cut my grass, so that's what I'm out here doing today. And I have this Kohler engine with the Lawnboy, and I'm pretty confident it's gonna work for me, because I mean it does say TRU-START commitment right there. And it clearly says it. TRU-START commitment. Shouldn't have any problem. I mean, I don't know why these people have these lawnmower fixing videos when they can just buy a Kohler engine because it's guaranteed to start. Well, I guess we're gonna get our lawn done now. So I'm gonna start her up and get the work done. I wonder what the problem could be. I mean, it does say it's a TRU-START commitment. I mean, it's supposed to start. Maybe it's a spark plug. Yeah, because I read the manual and it says I should replace the spark plug. So maybe I'm going to run out into traffic now. Maybe it might take me 3 or 4 hours to hunt down a spark plug. Because I think that's going to solve the problem. Wrong. Okay guys, so it appears that we ended up with a guaranteed piece of garbage here. But it's not the end of the world. Just because it's not running doesn't mean it's garbage. This was actually found in the trash, and I was using it last year, and I suspect that it's probably the same issue. But we're going to dig into it, and we're going to start by removing this top cover, which will expose the underneath here, which is just easier to get to and easier to see things. So we're going to dig into this. We're going to figure it out. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked the video, hit like and subscribe. So let's get involved. Okay, so I'm going to use a number 10 ratchet just to take these 3 nuts off. Okay, so now that we have the top plastic piece off, and remember you would have to remove the gas cap to get the cover off, and then just put the gas cap back on. So we'll get this air filter off. that doesn't look too bad. We can certainly blow it out anyway, but looks pretty clean. Then I'm going to remove this cover here. It's going to be the same socket. This is number 10 from a Craftsman set. There's two of them here, and then there's a larger one here. So we'll start there. I like to start it with the ratchet and then remove it, the ratchet, and do it by hand. There's one, and two, and three, which is a longer one. And there will be a hose here on the right side. You want to remove the hose. Now there are spacers here that sometimes come out. Make sure those, you put them back in there. Sometimes they'll fall out. So we have the cover off. So I'm going to get closer into this carburetor. I'm going to zoom in closer and show you what else we need to do here. Okay, so we have our carburetor here, and I just want to explain, you know, if this choke plate on the carburetor is open when this mower hasn't been used, then more than likely it's going to be this automatic choke mechanism here. It's kind of a weird setup on this mower, but it's similar to a fan limit switch on a furnace or a thermostat, whereas the special metal that they wind up in there, since it's attached to the muffler, as it heats up, it begins to turn this rod, this connecting rod that goes to the carburetor linkage here. And as it does that, it gradually opens up the choke. So again, if you're taking yours apart and you see that this is open from the get-go, then more than likely you're going to have to replace this automatic choke mechanism, but that's not the case here. So there's this little linkage here that connects that mechanism to this carburetor linkage here, and you can just kind of turn it to the left and that will pull out. You want to set that aside. And another thing we're going to have to do is use a T20 Torx to remove a screw here and here. So we'll do that so we can get that choke mechanism out of the way so we can remove the carburetor. We'll just kind of set that off to the side. And there is a diaphragm here. Now there are Phillips screws here that you could remove and clean that. We're not going to go that route at first. We're just going to clean this carburetor. We're going to disassemble it and see if we can't get this thing going. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is there's two linkages here. There's kind of a spring, and there's another linkage that connects to the governor arm. Okay, so if we put this to the left, we can lift up on that larger connection there, and the other one is pretty easy to do. You just kind of push down on it and lift up, or you can use a pair of pliers. It would make more sense. Just kind of lift that spring out of there and leave them there. So the only other thing we need to do now is pinch off this gas line so we can unhook the carburetor. I do have a tuna can here that I always use, I'm just going to pinch this and then use the vice grips to hold the other pliers down. That should be good enough. And then we're going to need to press this clamp here together and slide it back. And then what I usually do is twist the gas line first, kind of turn it back and forth first, because sometimes it gets stuck there. And then pull it out. Get your can ready. That wasn't too bad. So I think we're ready to slide the carburetor out. And then I'm just gonna take this bolt out on the bottom and get the rest of the gas in the larger can. And then we'll take a look inside of this thing and we'll see if we can't find out what's going on with it. Okay, so we have our carburetor here, and I've got the same ratchet I was using for everything else, and a little wire, a little copper wire, some carb cleaner, and we're going to remove the bowl here on this carburetor and we're going to get a look at it. There's our ball. It's not horrible. I do see a little bit of rust on the bottom. We're going to have to clean that up. Probably a Scotch-Brite pad would work good with it, I think. Would look good. So we'll set that aside. And we have the float here. Plastic float and a pin. We're just going to slide the pin off. And we can lift the float. And in there you'll see a needle that's hanging from the plastic float with rubber on the end of it. And that rubber is what seals up the hole and prevents more gas from filling into the bowl. If you didn't have that, you'd have gas pouring out of the carburetor. So, as I said in other videos, it's similar to a toilet where it has a float inside, and once it reaches a certain level, it turns the water supply off. So the needle looks good, and sometimes these do fill with gas, but that's not the case here. There's no cracks in it. It's in good shape. So we have our main jet inside here. We're going to need a regular screwdriver to remove that, and we're going to clean up the whole carburetor with some carb cleaner. There is a gasket here, and the gasket looks like it's in good shape. It's not dry rotted or anything like that. I will probably clean the groove around there. It looks like there's a little bit of corrosion on the groove there, so I'll clean that up. So I'm going to get the regular screwdriver and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so we have our screwdriver, and we're going to just put the screwdriver in there till you feel it catch on the groove. Now this is a brass fitting, so you want to be careful with it. I'm just going to turn it out, and once I tip the carburetor they should fall out. So you have your main jet here, which is a longer one, and there's another jet here, which is what we just took out that goes on the top of it. So I'm just going to spray these jets, clean them up. I'm going to clean up and spray inside pretty much every hole that you see. You want to spray or use, some kind of thin wire to kind of go through each hole and make sure they're free, that nothing's blocking them. And make sure your gasket here looks good. So that's not an issue. It's not broken. The choke moves freely. I mean, everything else looks good. I'd probably do a little bit of cleaning on the emulsion tube here on the end looks a little corroded. So I guess we'll start with the carb cleaner. You want to be careful with this stuff. So if you get it in your eye like I did, because I didn't wear any safety goggles, I was running to the sink to wash my eyes out, and luckily I did it quick enough where it didn't cause any eye damage or anything like that. So that's good. So also there's a bunch of little holes in here in this jet. You want to go through it with your wire and just make sure all those holes are clear. There's like a set of 4 holes at the very top. You have groups of 3 holes all the way around on the upper half of it, the jet, and then there's 4 more a little bit lower than that. And if you feel a little bit of resistance, probably just means that you're cleaning out the hole the right way. As long as you pick the right size wire. Now this is from an Ethernet cable. It's very handy. You just got to be careful. These wires break after they're bent so many times. You don't want to end up with a piece of copper wire stuck inside your carburetor. So that's clean. The other one rolled away somewhere. Here it is. We're going to make sure that's cleared out. Give it a good spraying. Again, watching the eyes. And we'll just spray the carburetor. Get it nice and clean, do the outside. Now there are 2 holes. If you look inside this chamber here where the choke is, there's 2 holes in there. So I'm going to clean them out too. I don't know if you can see them. You can see the 2 holes right inside, right on the side. It does look like there's a couple more holes down below, but I'm not going to be able to reach it here. I'm just going to count on the carb spray for that. So I'll give that another cleaning inside of there. So everything looks good here. Now I could take it further. You want to make sure this hose here is in good shape, and that is in very good shape. You could take these 3 screws off and clean inside. Like I said, it's moving. I can feel it. It has like a pump action to it. So I'm not even gonna mess with that. I think we're gonna be good to go after we assemble this back together, but we'll have to see. So I guess we're gonna start piecing this thing back together and move on to the next step. Okay, so we're just gonna reverse the process. Sometimes I'll put WD-40 on my gasket, but I just wiped it down. It's really good shape, so I think it's fine. So I'm going to put that on first. Then I'm going to put this longer jet with the kind of narrower end in first. And then I'm going to put the other jet that screws in right on top, and just tighten it down. You don't want to over tighten it or strip it, but just snug. I think we're there now. Just snug inside there. So that's all set there. Now I did clean this up a little bit on the end. It's not bad. We're going to put our float and our needle. And the end of that looks good. We're going to set it in there. Set the needle in the hole and then put your pin back in there. Center it. So that's it. So now we're going to put the bowl back on after I wipe it a couple times and clean it. Clean it up real good. Not bad. So we'll put this back on here, and I like to put the bolt, which you use at the end of the season to drain the gas out, on the outside part so I can get to it easy. So that looks good. That's in there. We're going to put our bolt back in the bottom. Again, tightening it snug, but not enough where you're going to strip it or bend the bowl. But you do want a nice tight snug fit there. So that looks good. It's nice and snug. So we're ready to mount it back on the mower, hook our linkages back up, and hopefully it will start this time. So let's do that and see what happens. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this carburetor back on here. Gasket's good. Everything looks good, so we're going to slide this on here. And we can go ahead and hook the larger linkage up by just turning the throttle to the left, popping that in there, and then the other one's easy. Just stick it there in the hole and push down. So that's functioning. That's good. So now we're going to have to hook up our automatic choke. Now what I'm going to do too is, just for good measure, I'm going to put some grease right in there. So I'm going to just spray a little bit of grease in there and turn it, because who knows when I'll be in this mower again, so that'll keep it lubricated and working good. So now I have to get my T20 Torx and those two screws and put that linkage back, mounted back on the top of the carburetor. Okay, so we have the automatic choke mechanoid hooked up here, and we have the linkage that goes from there to this choke here that we have to hook up. So we're just going to do it in reverse of how we did it before. We just stick it in there, it'll go off to the right, and then just drop it into the top of that choke mechanism there. So that's moving nicely. We're going to put our gas line back on. We're going to go ahead and slide this clamp over. There we go. Now we can release our vice grips for gas line. Our linkages are all hooked up. That's moving great. I don't see any gas pouring out of there. That's a good thing. So we're going to proceed and put on the air filter housing, and then I think we're almost ready to get this thing hopefully running. So let's see what happens. Alright guys, so we did it. I appreciate you watching the video, and I hope it helped you out. If you have a similar starting issue with the Lawnboy, it's always good when you can do it yourself and save some money, and that's what this channel is all about. Thanks again to all the subscribers, and if you did like the video and it helped, hit like, subscribe, because it really does help the channel out, helps it grow, and we'll see you next time.